All right, here we go. Hello there. Well, welcome back to my reviews. And yeah, I know this was finally got another one out there. Yeah, if you saw my other videos, you know that life's been changing for me, but I still want to make these reviews whenever I can. So here's the latest one, The Marvels. So yeah, well, people have already a lot's already been said about this movie, and I guess it's my turn to give my take. So, now, as usual, with a movie like this, a sequel, I usually try to also summarize my thoughts about the movie that came before, Captain Marvel. So, that movie was, it was okay. For me, it was a movie that was a bit uh, outdated in terms of superhero movies. Now, yeah, it's not quite what you think. Like some people would think of it as like it came too late because that was like the first Marvel movie with a female superhero and all that. And, that has all to do with politics and stuff like that. I don't like to judge things based on things like that. And also, when I say outdated, some people are probably complaining. Well, what do you mean? This was a big female superhero movie, and once again, more politics. Don't deal with that. What I mean is that in terms of like subject matter, and in terms of how they told this story, right? And tone and style and all that, it was so basic. It was like the Venom movie that came out also actually the year before, but yeah, around that same sphere, that same span of similar close enough span of time. There's just those movies, they were fine for what they were. I mean, for me, Venom was more fun because it was far campier, and they didn't take themselves seriously and all that. But with Captain Marvel, it took itself too seriously, and it didn't offer anything that was anything new or unique. Like, even for me, even in some of the worst MCU movies, there was always something about them that I could latch on to that made me glad that I saw it. Something unique, something it gave me something that I could enjoy and latch on to. Whereas Captain Marvel, it didn't really do that. Now with this new one, the Marvels, people, like I said, people have been already saying a lot of things about it, that it's bad that it's the worst MCU movie so far at a time when the MCU is kind of like going through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of more downs than ups, really. And yeah, so with all that being said, considering all all the negativity that's surrounding this movie, what I will say is that in some respects it was better than I expected, but in so many others it was as bad, possibly even worse than what people have been saying. So yeah, let's go through some of the good stuff first, some of the pros first. And so chief among these is the performances. Actually, the acting from all the main actors, even supporting actors, all across the board was actually pretty solid. Especially, unsurprisingly, because people have been talking about her constantly in regards to this movie, is Iman Vellani, who plays Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. She really is truly a revelation, a real, a true gem, someone that's really brought a new energy, a new charisma to the MCU. So, yeah, she was great. She was probably like the shining light of this movie. Unsurprisingly, people have already been saying stuff like that, and so yeah, it was just her, her joy, her sense of excitement. Even the parts where where in this movie she has to learn, the kind of sacrifices that comes with being a hero. Her having to go through all that. Yeah, that was certainly among some of the best stuff in this movie, and she played it great. Now, yeah, and even Brie Larson, who people have been on the fence about, she's better here. She's a far more relatable, more accessible, a far more enjoyable presence. And the reasons for that I'll get into in a minute. So, yeah. See, the thing is, the performances are probably the one like truly solid thing about this movie. Now, that isn't to say that there aren't other good points. There are. It's just that those other good points are tempered by the fact that they could have and should have been so much better. So, so the next thing about that is the tone, right? So people have been comparing this actually to like Thor: Love and Thunder, and while I don't think it's as ridiculous in terms of tone as Thor: Love and Thunder. Although yeah, there are certainly a couple of moments that certainly emulate Thor: Love and Thunder's over the top goofiness. Probably um, just as goofy, if not more so, than some of the stuff in there. Like there's an out of the blue musical number that happens in this movie, without giving too much away. And there's also a moment at the end, as typical. There is the big villain trying to destroy everything kind of thing, and they have to save all these people, and they come up with a pretty unique way to do it, to say the least. So, but I mean, overall, it doesn't feel as ridiculous, and I like that it didn't try to take this movie so seriously, just like they did with, unlike what they did with the first movie, you know. Um, these characters, were allowed to be funny and stuff, and that's made them more relatable, more accessible, more fun, more enjoyable to follow. And the next point is the action, which actually, a lot of it was fun and was done pretty well. It's just that, there wasn't any like action scene unique, really like this is like the next level at MCU action kind of thing. There was no like particular action scene that was like, oh, I'm gonna remember this. It was particularly memorable. The action across the board was fine, but it was just that. It was done well. Some parts pretty creatively, and a lot of it was helped by a certain element that I'll also get into later. But yeah, so the action was fine, but to just say that it's fine is barely calling it a good point. So, and the next good thing was, yo, what was it? Yeah, you know what? I'm even trying to struggle to find all the the good points about this, but there are there as I just said. So yeah, I guess those are essentially kind of the main ones. So now let's get into some of the big issues regarding this movie, and really the big one really probably is the script, because with this story there's actually a whole bunch of things going on in this movie. We have Brie Larson's character, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. We got her, dealing with some personal issues that came about from, from what she learned at the end of the last movie, and with the Kree Skrull War, and the impact of a certain mistake that she made in trying to resolve that issue, and how that's affected the villain and her motivations, and also how this has affected her relationship with Monica Rambeau. There's also Kamala Khan and Miss Marvel. She's coming in. She's going on an adventure with her idol, and then she's also learning about the ropes of being a superhero, and I was also having to deal with the Skrulls, and the fact that they've have no home now, and it's a whole bunch of things. And because of the length of this movie, of course they couldn't give any of them really enough time to really breathe and to develop and to help us feel the impact that a lot of these storylines that all of these storylines should have. So it's all over the place. It's unfocused in the story department. I don't think that has to do necessarily with the the reported and rumored production issues that went on with this movie, and also the writer's strike and all that. This is a problem that other recent superhero movies have had, and I guess this is just the the next in that line of superhero movies that have made that kind of mistake. So yeah, they either should have, gotten rid of some of this stuff and maybe shelved it for another movie, or they, should have gone back to writing a new draft, or, found a way to pace it out properly, and or just lengthen the movie. I know people don't like long movies, but some stories may warrant a longer length, like maybe even this one. I mean, they could have kept it. They could have kept the length the same if they just gotten rid of some of this stuff that was just weighing it down. And because of that, like I said, they couldn't give some of these storylines enough impact, so that when they get to certain like emotional moments. Like there's one particularly towards the end where it's trying to resolve the issues that Carol is having with Monica. It was kind of like a moment from Shazam 2 where these two characters are trying to have this really emotional cathartic moments, but instead of just feeling emotional about it, you just, for me anyway, you just felt like laughing, or at least I mean, I didn't really laugh, but I was kind of internally thought how ridiculous this all was, because they did almost nothing to build up to earn that moment, and yet they expect you to feel emotional about it. So yeah, it was that kind of thing. Yeah, this movie is a mess. Yeah, and the villain, they tried to give her an interesting backstory, an interesting motivation, but yeah, she just came. By the end, especially towards the end is where everything really falls apart. Typical, isn't it? Yeah, this villain was just, big, over the top, wants to destroy everything villain. She was kind of like Ronan from Guardians of the Galaxy, but at least Ronan was kind of like, his over the topness was kind of enjoyable, and he had that, that voice, that presence, and stuff like that. So yeah, but this villain. The only thing that was really interesting about her was the backstory, the motivation that they gave her, which of course didn't have as much of an impact as I said because of all the things that I just mentioned about this movie. So yeah, oh yeah, and another thing is of course the visual effects. Now, what I will say is that the effects are fine. They're not terrible. At least not until a certain post-credit scene towards the end, where the design of a certain character was actually pretty cool, but the CGI was pretty bad. But it was still a pretty cool moment. I don't want to spoil anything, but you'll know it. Those who've seen it, you know what I mean, and of course, those of you who are about to see it, you'll know what I mean. So yeah, overall, yeah, this movie is just is a jumble, It's not. I can't say overall that it's terrible, but it's not very good. So in terms of overall rating, I teetering between like a plastic and a bronze. So I guess I'll give it somewhere between a shiny plastic and a really, really rusty bronze. So there you go, the Marvels. Well, what did you guys think? Do you agree with some of the points, or don't you? Well, what are your thoughts? You can leave your thoughts in the comments, or those of you who know me, you can let me know directly, and also, yeah, and let's keep this, let's keep this mature and all that, because yeah, with a movie like this, there's a whole lot of baggage around it. Like I wasn't gonna go into this trying to, as you can see, well, I didn't go into this wanting to rag on this movie because all. Female-driven films and all that, all the crap surrounding us, stuff like that, and people thinking like, people hate this movie because it's a feminist movie and stuff like that. People don't hate these movies because they star and they involve women. Because they hate them because they're bad. At least that's the case. I know there are actual trolls out there, but know the difference. All right, and let's not. Be slaves to our biases and all that stuff, all the politics and feminism. Let's keep this mature. Even, one of the actors, Iman Vellani, I even admire her outside of this movie for treating all the criticism directed at this movie so maturely. So yeah, let's be mature about this, all right? And, thanks for listening, and look forward to the next one. Bye.